Hey everyone, today's overview and review video is all about industrial corporations. That's right, I'm talking about Furnace. If you're new here, my name is Krissy and this is Two Sheep, One Wheat. If there is a board game that you want me to review or even just take a look at, let me know what that game is down in the comments below. Like this video and go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. So Furnace, like I was saying, is all about industrial corporations. It takes place over 4 rounds, and within those 4 rounds, there are 2 phases. There is an auction phase and there is a production phase. So let's go ahead and take a look at the table. So I do have a 2-player game set up here. Now with a 2-player, you do need the 2-player variant, which is basically just another 3rd player. And you'll need the 3rd player when you're going through your bidding phase. Bidding phase includes these cards right here. These are your company cards. You, at the beginning of the game, need to flip these over, and depending on how many people are actually playing your game, that it depends how many cards that you are flipping over. In a 2-player game, because we have this lovely mat here that did not come with the game, you know exactly where to end for the 2-player, for 3-player, and 4-player because of the mat here. So these are the company cards that everybody is going to be bidding off of, and bidding is going to be using your capital discs right here. Every player does have their own in their own color, and you do have these nice handy dandy tokens here, and those ones just remind you of what color that you are whenever you're bidding, as well as all of the resources that we're going to be using in this game. We have money, we have coal cubes, we have iron bars, and we have oil drums here. These are upgrade tokens, and I'll talk more about those during the 2nd phase, which is the production phase. Then the other thing on the board is the round counter, and it's got this neat little way of keeping track of which round it is just by simply turning the token here. And each player is given a starting card for company cards. These ones are marked with this backing right here, so you just shuffle them and give each player a random card. So at the beginning of your turn, at the top of your startup card are resources here, and that's what you're going to be able to, that's what you're going to be able to collect at the beginning of the game, so that you kind of have a head start and you're going to be able to get some of those cards, or be able to still be able to do something within your first turn instead of just collecting and not really gaining anything. So once you have the setup, then you can go on, and starting with the 1st player, you're going to go straight into the auction phase. So the 1st player would take a look at the cards that are on the table and decide which one that they actually want. Now the bidding phase, that is when you're going to be taking your capital discs right here, and you're going to be able to place it on any one that you want. Now if you place a 4 on any one that you want, now typically you can't place another one of the same value on the same card, so you're almost guaranteed to be able to get that card. And then once you've placed your disc, then it would be the 2nd player's turn to be able to place their disc. Let's just say that they really wanted this one. Now for the 2-player variant with our 3rd player, you're going to roll the die, and whatever number it lands on is corresponding with which card. So this one would be 1, so you're going to be placing 1 on this one. So something with this one, with the 2-player variant, with the capital discs here, you're going to be placing the lowest one first, and then you're going to go on to the higher ones as the round goes on. So once all the players have gone, then it is the 1st player's turn again to go on. Now you are allowed to place your tokens here, your capital discs, on any card as long as it is below the number, unless you have a specific catalyst card. Now I haven't talked about these, but these are just basically going to give you some kind of rule-breaking effect that you're allowed to use during the game. So for mine right here, I have, during the auction phase, you may place your disc without following the 2 placement rules. So the 2 placement rules are your disc has to be a lower number than the one that's already on there, and you're not allowed to have more than 1 of your own color on the same card. So those are the 2 rules that mine would allow me to break. So the values are not summed up if you're going to have more than 1 disc on 1 card. If there is a tie, then you get compensated. So I wouldn't be able to win that card, but I would get compensated for it. So once everybody is done bidding, then you go on to see who's going to be able to collect these cards. So whoever has the highest disc on the card is the player who's going to be able to gain that card. The cards are resolved from left to right. So in this case, because it's a 2-player, the player isn't actually an actual player, so the card just gets discarded that way. Now, once you're on here, like I was just saying, the highest disc on the card is who's going to actually be able to collect the card and add it so that they'll be able to use the benefit that's at the bottom down here. Now, for this player, say me, on here, I would get compensated for this. I could exchange one of my iron bars to be able to get an oil drum. And then so once that is dealt with, then you just go ahead and return your discs to the proper people, and you would be able to take your card and add it to your lineup. And then you would go on to the next cards and deal with those as so. So this one here would just get discarded because it is the third player here that has gained it. Now, however, I do have a disc on here, and I would be able to do this one because this one is just gaining iron. So I would be able to gain 1 because that is what I have on here. My disc is 1. Now, if I had a 4 disc on here instead, I'd be able to actually collect 4 iron. So once all of the cards have been dealt with, everyone has the cards that they have gained, then you move on to the second phase, which is production. Now there's 2 ways to play this phase. You can either play the easy way, which is how we really enjoy playing, and that is being able to use whichever card you want to, and it's not in a set line. That is the other one. It's in a set line, you can't move them around, and that is how you'll need to follow the line is in order. So we like to play the little bit easier way where you can decide which card you want to deal with first, and then when you do that, you just simply push the card up just a little bit, or maybe turn it a little bit sideways so that you remember which cards that you used so that you don't use them again. So once all of the cards have been sorted through, you know which ones that you have in your lineup. You can rearrange them. Now, depending on which variant you are playing, you can rearrange them any way that you want to. If you're playing the one that's a little bit harder, you would only be able to, whatever card you collect, either place it at the beginning or the end. I think I'm backwards. End, beginning, end. Or in the middle. Now, whenever you get the next card, you can do the same thing, but any of the cards that you've already placed in your pool, you won't be able to move any of those cards any longer. So whichever variant that you decide to play, once you start the production phase, when you start on one card, you have to complete everything before moving on to the next one. You can't do one part of it, move on to the next card, and then come back because it benefits you. Once you start the card, you have to complete it. Now, you don't have to do every single thing that is on the card, like say this one here. You can take one of these tokens here, the upgrade tokens, and if you chose not to do this one, you could go down to the next one. But if you chose not to do any of these, you went down to the third one, you can't go back up and decide, oh, now I can. So once you start doing this one, you have to complete all of it before you move on. But for in this case, I'm going to put this back for right now because I would like to collect one of these irons here so that I can move on to this card, gain one of these upgrade tokens, then I can exchange my iron here. Now, I would be able to do it up to 2 times. Unfortunately, I just have 1. I don't have 2. So I'm going to exchange this 1 for 2 coins. Now, coins with this game are valuable because at the end, they're turned into points, and whoever has the most points is the person who has won the game. So now, if I wanted to, because everybody's starting card, they might be a little bit different, but at the end, at the bottom here, you can use your upgrade token and a coal, and you'd be able to flip any of these over. So whichever ones that you really wanted, then you would be able to do it. So in this case, let's just go ahead and do it because I do have the resource for it. So we'll give away our upgrade token and one of these coals. And I think gaining more iron would benefit me since I can turn it into more money. So I'd flip that one over. And then I would be able to, because I've already done this one, and I should have lifted this one up because I've already done it. I'm limited for space, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick it sideways like that. This one was already done too, so now we can move on with this one. Unfortunately, I used my iron here, so I don't actually have any to be able to do this one, so I'm just going to leave it because I can't do it. So then that would be that player's turn. And then simultaneously, of course, the other player would be able to do theirs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take my upgrade token because I can. Here I only have 1 coal. I don't have enough to be able to switch it into any kind of money. I do have 1 coal here though, however, so I'm going to use my upgrade token and my coal, and I'm going to exchange it so that I can upgrade this card right here. So with those starter cards, every single person is going to be able to collect one of those upgrade tokens, and then later on, a few steps below, you're going to be able to use that as long as you have a coal with you to be able to use it. So once the first round is done, then we move on to the second round, and the first player token gets moved to the next player. So that is basically how you play Furnace. I didn't go into a lot of the details about it and how you need to really play the game. There's so much strategy involved with this one, and I feel like every single game is a complete different game because strategy-wise. Sometimes I have an overabundance of coal and I'm trying to collect some of those cards that would reduce some of it, either give me money or give me some other type of resource that I can get. And because it is full of strategy with this game, not even just picking which cards you want, because sometimes you might not even be able to get the card that you actually want. So a nice thing that they added with it is that you actually get compensated for the cards that you don't get, and depending on what disc that you actually put on, depending on what number it is, you're either going to get 2, 3, or 4, well, not 4 because you're probably winning that card, but you can get 1, 2, or 3 of that specific type of resource just by placing that disc on there and you not actually getting the card. We played a lot at 2 players. We haven't played this at any other count. I do assume that it would be just as good, but I don't mind the 3rd player for this game because it's really just trying to outbid us, right? There probably wouldn't be too much interaction between the 2 players if there wasn't a 3rd player added, and it definitely kind of foils your plans because you're rolling the die and you don't really know what card that the 3rd player is going to go on. We always play with the black for the 3rd player. I feel like it just kind of makes sense because black is blah, and that's how I feel sometimes when the 3rd player takes my card. But, oh, like I was saying, I really enjoy the 3rd player. It would be nice if we didn't have it because it's just something that we always end up missing. So backtrack a little bit, roll the die, put out the disc on it. But it's really not a terrible. I've played some games that the 3rd player or the 2-player variant is kind of annoying. And this one is definitely not. Just kind of have to remember that it's theirs to be able to do it. But Nick and I really like this game. I have already recorded the playthrough of this game, and we had so much fun playing it. We have so much fun playing it every single time. I also really wanted to mention the mat. We first heard about the mat from the Nerd Shelves. If you haven't checked them out before, I will put a link down to their channel below. They are awesome. They're also Canadian too. They live not that far, but pretty far that we can't visit. But anyways, I'll link their channel down below. They are awesome. Definitely go check out their channel. But we were watching them live stream, and they mentioned that they were able to find one of these mats for Furnace. I had no idea that they even made mats for Furnace, so I was really it piqued my interest. So we went on to Amazon, ended up buying it. Now the great thing about this mat, I wish that every single board game would be able to put their mats inside of the box. You take the insert out of Furnace, out of the box, and you roll this up kind of like a, I don't know, like a letter, like a folded letter into 3, and it literally just fits inside of the box, and you put the black insert back in and you just fill in your pieces and everything and put the cover on, and there you go. You don't have a stack of mats over here like we do, and it's just in there and it's away and you can take it out and it's easy. And you don't need the mat. You don't need the mat. I really like mats, and I'm happy that we got the mat. Obviously, it was like a purchase right away, but I really like the mats, really for any game, because it shows, of course, if it doesn't come with a board, I'm fine with the board, but a mat for a game that doesn't have anything, no board, no mat, no nothing, get the mat. I love the mat. It shows you exactly where everything needs to go, and it's just really nice. It helps you with setup. That's what I think mat does. So really happy with the mat, and it wasn't even terribly expensive either for the mat. So that's always a bonus for any type of game. I don't even think I have anything bad to say. I think this is a really good 2-player game. We really enjoy it every single time we play. And because, it's thinky. It's really thinky. And surprisingly, I've won this game a couple of times. And I know that doesn't happen too often, and it wasn't on camera, so can't prove it. I really like the artwork on the cards. I know that it's like the industrial corporations and stuff, so it's like very industrial, but I do really enjoy the artwork, even though it's polluting everything. But the artwork, they did really good with the artwork. The card quality is really nice quality too. All the components too, like I love wood pieces. We do have a whole bunch of coins, metal coins that we could use, but this game, I think, has come with the most denominations I have ever seen. A 1, where's the 1? We got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 5, we have a 10, and a 25. So it comes with a whole bunch, which is really nice because you're always accumulating something and you can easily exchange it for however much you need. And then it's easier to keep count of how much you have. And then that way too, you're not really running out of anything. For your first couple of games, the game actually, not the game, I suppose the game, but the rule book. The rule book actually says not to play with any of the capitalist cards here. I think there are about 5 of these cards in here, so there's not terribly too many of them to choose from. So you kind of get to know them a little bit. Really, they're not even that difficult, like this one, right? With your disc on there, it would be considered 1 higher so that you could collect some more resources. And then this one here too, that you can just ignore the placement rule for your discs here. All of them are just kind of rule breaking some type of rule, just to give you some kind of little extra push whenever you're playing the game. So there are only 5 of those, so they're pretty repetitive. Maybe a couple more would have been nice. Who knows, but really, how many more rules can you break? There's only a certain number of rules in the game. But I enjoyed those. Definitely enjoy the starter cards here too, because it just kind of gives you a little boost before you start playing the game, because you're bidding and everything, which is fine. And you could kind of collect some resources from the top cards if you're just getting compensated for it, so you're going to get some of the resources for that. But this definitely helps you out, kind of gives you a little bit of a boost right there at the beginning, so that whenever you get to the production phase, then you're able to do a little bit, which is nice, instead of kind of wasting a whole round because you can't get anything, you can't do anything, which is really nice. So, but overall, this is just a really, really fun game, really nice game, really thinky game, but it's also a really quick game, which is nice. So this is kind of one that you're going to set up and play a couple of games in a row, because not that setup is terribly much, but there is a bit of resources and everything, and because it's such a quick game, why not get a couple in, right? So if that sounds like a game that you would enjoy, if you enjoy a really good engine building game, then maybe check this one out. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you next time.